Okay.
All right, we've got a show for you today. We're going to cover offense and defense in the PFL and how you can win in a coach mode league, even if you're not that experienced or don't have that much time. Because quite honestly, a lot of our guys, they're just kind of part-time players. They can't invest the time that others can and get as good. So some of them feel trapped in that 4-13 season or 3-14 season. And can't get out of it. So we're going to try to help you do that. So I've got Jeff here with us, Jeff Bale, and then I've got Mike Clinic. I always say that it's Clinic, right? Clinic. Okay, it's not like not like the John Wayne movie McClintock.
No.
Okay, so.
Remember curmudgeon,
Yeah. I didn't say it wasn't a curmudgeon.
Ooh, boy.
So the first picture we've got up here is really the creation center for setting up your custom playbook, because guys, if you don't set up a custom playbook, you're really not going to get far, are you?
No, not at all.
So what you want to do is you want to, through using your custom playbook, get rid of those plays that don't work. Just get them out of there. You don't even want to look at them. I know I don't, because they make me sick. So get them out of there and just keep trying different plays. Maybe 2 or 3 different plays a week. And the ones that work, keep. The ones that don't, get rid of them and keep moving forward. Because you'll be able to fill your playbook up with good plays. But really, Jeff, is it really good to fill your playbook up? Is that too much?
In the older versions, I would have said so. I have a pretty full playbook. I don't use all the plays in every game that I'm playing. But because the new version allows you to have all of the kind of you can scroll across the bar on the top there, you can get to the plays pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I would still suggest for somebody that's maybe just starting to build a playbook that they have more of a limited or more of a constrained playbook than an expanded one.
Yeah, I think the issue with first coming into coach mode is understanding a few things that the plays are designed, as we've talked in the past, for you to take control and hit guys open. And obviously we don't allow that in coach mode. It's make all the adjustments, press the snap, and sit back and watch the results. So a lot of times you end up with what we call the statue quarterback play, sack.
Right.
And there's a few ways around it, a few things to do, but the number one core thing to do is to go into the practice mode that you can have. And now with this version, you can even practice after you played your game, which was a nice addition.
Right.
And just bang out plays and just, try plays in the practice mode against stock type defenses, pretty standard defenses, cover 3s, cover 4s, man to man, and see what's working.
So are you saying you can practice with your regular PFL roster?
Yes.
Yeah, you go into the practice mode,
right?
And then in Madden 22, Madden 19, and all the versions that we've played before, you couldn't practice after you played in a given week. Now you can. Not that it.
Okay, so from your team screen, when you go into the franchise, go to your team screen where it says reorder rosters and things like that. You've got a practice option there, and if you click that practice option there, you're actually practicing with your league, your PFL roster.
Yes,
right. Excellent.
Practice with your inside the league, obviously.
Yeah.
Where you see your results, or you see who you're playing, and then you look at your rosters, and then there's the weekly training, which you're supposed to do each week. You can do the what's it called? The drills.
Yeah.
You can actually manually. This is the only time we allow you to take control, and you can do the drills for your players, and you get extra bonuses. One of our owners actually said that if you do it really perfect or really close to perfect, you can actually get a skill point. I don't know if that's true. I've never experienced it, but
I did see. That was Pete.
Yeah.
And he did actually show the upgrade, so it did happen. I don't know if that happens routinely, but
I've never had it happen yet.
Me either. So, but
well, you're not quite on the skill level that Pete is yet, I guess, Mike.
That's the way it is.
Okay,
and,
so go ahead.
But yeah, you go in there, you pick your offensive play, you pick the defense. The defense will be run like the computer, which kind of kind of stinks in ways because you can't set it up how other people set up their defenses.
Right.
But at least you'll get a general idea. Because I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes a play will be open, and visually you will see guys open, and your quarterback will just not throw it to them based on that play. Not based on it's based on the combination of that play and the defense that your opponent is calling. Well, even though you'll see a guy sitting out in the outfield going, hey, waving his hand and, about to sit down and have a little picnic, it does make a difference. The computer will sometimes just not throw the ball to him. If you have a better quarterback, maybe, and he has throw the ball away, he'll throw the ball out of bounds. But this is something that it's trial and error. You have to go through trial and error, and my suggestion to do it the quickest way is to go into practice mode.
Okay. So let me run through this screen real quick so I can change it here. This is just showing you how to get to your playbook. It can be a little confusing, especially if you're new. You go from the main screen in Madden before you even go into the franchise. If you see over here at the right where it says NFL in yellow, because I've got it highlighted there, you want to click that. Your next screen is going to take you to the Creation Center. And what you want to do is click on your playbooks there. And then you're going to come to a screen where you can scroll across all the playbooks. As you can see here on the left, I've got my Lynn offense, which is my custom playbook. But you can usually most people, I think, start from one of the team's playbooks, and then they edit and resave that as under a different name. And of course, once you go there, the way I do it is I click all plays here. And what that does is you can see here in this picture that there's check marks beside the plays that is already in your playbook. The ones that are not there are not checked. So you can pick and choose what you want to add, or you can just uncheck them and take them out of your playbook and alter your playbook to your liking. So that's the easy way to get there and get your playbook edited. Next thing up, Mike, we're going to talk about the setups here. This is the things that you can actually change in the league settings. So you want to run through that real quick, what you see on screen?
Yeah, I would have it this way, especially the last one, manage practice reps, because that means it's going to do your weekly training for you, and you can run into a lot of fatigue, and your players will tire quickly, turn red as we call them. And if you were simming ahead, if you were simming a league for yourself, that's where all these things come in. But since we are on 32, right now we're not 32, but 28 owned team league, you want to have the control over all your stuff, and you don't want the computer to do it. And so that's basically what's broken down there. Okay, here's screen two. And then the bottom one is the only thing kind of really important that matters here. The top part is, if you auto progress your players, I'd always say no. Auto talent, same thing. But the bottom, I turn those off. And then the biggest one is fill roster, because if it's on, if you get an injury, it will pick somebody up and cut somebody for you. So always turn that off.
And hopefully they won't have a signing bonus, because you'll be stuck with that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that can happen is, as you know, we have penalties. Like, in other words, it doesn't generally do this, but it could drop a guy that has a bonus.
Right. You'll never assign a guy to a bonus, but the computer, no matter what, when you're signing a player in free agency in the season, they are a 1-year deal and they have no bonus.
Okay.
That's standard.
Next screen, anything of importance here? Passing type classic?
Yeah, that's standard coming in.
Okay. Preference on the kick with the win.
Yeah, that's your choices.
Okay. Nothing important
Again,
here
all
either.
choices here. How you, doesn't matter because we're not controlling.
Right. Okay, here we've got our first screen that's we're going to talk about your options here, what benefits, how it can hurt you, and how you should do it. So we're going to talk about the coverage adjustments. And to do this, I click the Y button. There may be another way to get in there, but as you can see over here on the left, I've got that arrow pointing to the Y button.
That's for defense, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, this is coverage adjustments. Now, I don't know how this got stuck on the offensive side. I think.
No, we're on.
Nope, we're on defense. Yep, we're on defense.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Mike and Jeff, give us your pointers on this.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, so there seems to be, since we're talking about new owners, there seems to be a problem with covering. Still seems to be a problem with covering RPOs.
Oh, so what's an RPO?
A run pass option play.
Yeah.
So
how are they defined?
So what happens is the quarterback can, and we don't control this, the quarterback has the option of handing the ball off to the running back, or not doing that, pulling the ball in, depending on how it reads what the defense is doing, and then throwing a pass to one of the eligible receivers.
Right.
So the trick to this is to really, if you look at this defense right here, you can see that those corners and the safeties on the right there are a good 5-6 yards off the line of scrimmage. 7, it looks like.
Yeah.
About 5, right? So I can tell you right now, basically, if you run an RPO here, the RPO is probably going to result in a completion, or at least a pass, because you're not pressing up on those receivers. Would you agree with that, Mike?
Yep, 100%. 82 is wide open if he's on a
It might even be a
Yeah.
one-play touchdown.
Right.
Okay, so that's what I see. So you really need to press up your defense, press coverage. So if you're looking at the screen here that Len has up here, you use your left stick, and you would press it down, and that would press your men up on the zone. I like to call pass, because if you don't call pass, which you can't see on the screen.
We're not there yet, Jeff.
Okay, well, go ahead, take it from here, Mike, and then I'll get to that.
So, yeah, the reason why is RPOs. What RPOs are good at is that they basically, if you know what the box is, right? Everybody knows what the box is inside the tackles.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 yards deep. What they do, because the RPO, even though it's not really happening, is they lock up your linebackers. And
Right.
so the linebackers that are sitting inside the box will give a 1 second, second and a quarter pause to read if it's actually a run. And so if they're in coverage, their coverage is now chasing or is behind quickly. So if this was, say this wasn't an RPO and this was just a normal play, that linebacker that's in the middle over the right guard, he could probably swing out and pick up the 82. It'd be a chase, but he might be able to do it if he's in a hook curl. He might be able to get out there. In an RPO, he's doomed. 82 just goes, see you later, bye-bye, touchdown. If not, at least a 20-yard gain. And so that's what the problem is. So like Jeff says, the best way to defeat that is you fool the AI into thinking that everything's covered, and you press. And that way everybody comes down, the AI sees it's covered, and it will likely hand the ball off. Simplest way to explain it, right, Jeff?
Yeah, the only so I guess I can go to the next part of this.
Yeah.
The only, because you
Next
kind of
screen,
hinted at
Len.
it, is I personally like to call pass. Now that does help with the run, but you are really trying to force the run over the pass here anyway.
Right.
But if you don't call pass in this game, now I don't know about past versions because we didn't have RPOs that worked,
No.
right? But if you don't call pass, what ends up happening is those linebackers that Mike was just talking. In fact, the safeties will too, depending on what type of defense you've called.
Yep.
They will read the run first, and they freeze,
Exactly.
and they'll actually flow with the running back, and then like Mike said, they can't recover back onto the RPO sometimes, even if you have press covered. So
Right.
if you call pass and press cover, what happens is they will more or less ignore the run part of the play, and they will quickly jump out and play pass coverage for you, which does usually trick the AI into handing the ball off.
So by
Right.
calling pass, you're talking about that rear button on the right top.
No, what he's talking about is your next screen.
Okay, let's go. Well, let me ask you something here first. What's the benefit to? There's two things here I want to mention here. Show blitz. What's the
Right.
benefit to show blitz?
Don't do it. You get burned.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
I've
It
never
used to
used
work
it.
It used to work in Madden 22. It was a thing. If you exactly know what you're doing, you can play around with it. It messes up coverages. You can make things look that are different than
Right.
they are, and
Okay.
that's what it's really for.
How about base
Are
align?
you got, okay, now I think I can. Mike may use this differently. I actually you can. I usually set up at the beginning of when you first start the game. I
Right.
usually set it up to base align.
Okay.
However, that can cause a lot of problems
Yep.
with matchups.
Yep.
So I often and I do it kind of as late as I can, but I will say I do it often. I hate to tell people this, but I will hit base align again.
Mm-hmm.
And what that will do is it'll move those defenders around and line them up. Now, it depends on what defense you're playing,
Right.
but it will change the complete look of your defense, because I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you right now what I do not like about, and I'm just using the screen here as an example. You can see on the right side here that you have, it looks like a safety in a slot corner maybe.
Yeah.
Is that what you got there? Okay, see how far out they are?
Yeah.
All right. if you put 87 on a slant or 1 on or whatever, maybe the play is like a post route, they're going to be trailing the play right off the bat. Like there's no way you're going to stop that play. Like that guy will never get there. If you base align, they will move over in front of those guys,
right?
And you have a better chance of being able to stop. Like
can
you
see my pointer?
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't know if it's recording or not. Hopefully. Let's see. So the baseline.
We're having a study session
yeah.
for Lenny.
So the basically you could actually do this baseline, and then on the right stick you could push down for your underneath coverage and help with those slants, right?
Be very careful with this.
Oh
okay?
yes, yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up. It's really good that you brought this up. Playing underneath or setting that underneath coverage, I don't do it a lot. Because if it's you can, but if you go underneath, what it does is it changes your zones on the outside to whatever they were to hard flats.
Right.
And hard flats will only cover so deep, and you get gaps between the hard flat and the deep
where the curl flat used to be.
Yeah. It's not as good a defense. Although if you expect the guy to throw something underneath, it can work.
Yeah.
All right.
What I've seen though,
how about on the inside?
Well, I still want to cover.
Inside's good for slants and things like that, right?
Yes, insides are good for slants. Makes them play more towards the inside. If a guy's beating you, again, you can't solve everything by making these adjustments. If you like this play here, let's just say that we're looking at. You said inside, doesn't matter. Those outside coverage guys are not going to get over no matter what you called, because of the way they are aligned. The guys over the tight end.
Right, you're going to have to base align these guys to get them over. This is just a default play just to have this up.
It's just the way it looked. But what I'm trying to say is the inside-outside is really only if everything is aligned right. Outside does work good for that, you know. Now you're back on offense.
Yeah, but hang on. I just want to pick up something because you kind of moved too fast there. What the big mistake that I see a lot of guys making is
back one.
Just go back one is if they're in man-to-man. Okay. Do not. Now there's 1 or 2 defenses that you can, but since we're still dealing with basically newer guys, okay, do not go man-to-man underneath coverage.
Yes.
Right, because you see those guys on the outside. If this was man-to-man, it's not. But if this was man-to-man, these 2 defenders on the right over here by the 30-yard line, if you call underneath and you leave them there and you're in man-to-man, when the ball gets snapped, what they're going to do is they're going to run forward to the line of scrimmage. And the receiver's going to go right by him. And it's a 1-play touchdown. Yes, 1-play touchdown.
Underneath should only in logical. There's always circumstances. I'm not saying this is one glove fits all. This type of thing, but basically, underneath should only be used in zone. Because you think I was playing. I don't know who I was playing. I was playing somebody, and they were constantly running drags and slants on me, and I knew that, so I shaded my coverage underneath a lot, and it helps stop the drags and the slants.
You know who that sounds like? Me.
Yeah.
I think that's how you beat me, because it was a really close game, and all of a sudden it wasn't.
No.
He adjusted.
Yeah. Well, you start a game out and you find out what the person's like to do, and you let them do it for a little while so they get happy, and then you blow it up when you need it.
That's right.
They're drunk with success.
Yes.
The arrogance is incredible, but nonetheless.
Yeah. Okay, we're done with this page, right?
Yes.
Okay. Quick adjust here. The quick adjust just brings the screen back again. Sticks, we know what that does. If you press the sticks, it will tell your defenders to go to the first down marker.
Correct.
Man align, obviously that's
it's the opposite of base align.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay, next one we got shift D-line. Let's talk about shift D-line first before the point of attack. So I think it's self-explanatory here with that left stick. Down is to pinch your line, left is to shift them over to the left, right to the right, and then you can spread them out. Now, tell me something about runs. Now, you can get burned if you keep doing this too much, but to stop them up the gut run, what do you do with these 2 options here, with these 2 sticks?
Well, I pinch, and if a guy's beating me constantly, I would be into a nickel, and I would pinch my D-line and hope to stop it. Of course, that leaves me exposed to the outside, which they can see.
Sure.
So it's a chess game. You got to go back and forth, bait them, or whatever you got to do. I personally, I haven't had I've had decent success stopping the run, but what you want is bodies. The more bodies in the middle, the better success you are. If you only have one level of, like a lot of these plays, they say you come out in a trips and the halfback lines up and and you're in shotgun, like this play right here, right? So say that tight end is further out, he's out into the flats to the right.
Right.
Now, if he takes one of the linebackers with him, the guy that's over him, you only have 4 guys, and 2 of the guys are gone out of the play if he runs to the right. So you have 4 on 3, and you're gonna have or 3 on 2, or you're gonna have success because Lawrence could probably stop it, but you'll have. I don't know, Jeff. You explain that a little bit better than me. Stopping the run.
Yeah, I
up
do.
the middle.
Yeah, because and I don't want to get too complex here, but basically, what you probably can't show here is everybody knows you can pull up your play art.
Yeah.
And this is kind of significant. I'm finding if you pull up your play art and then hit the B button, that would show your defensive run fits if the ball goes to the right. If you hit the X button, it will show the run fits if the ball went to the left. The run went to the left. The reason why that's important is sometimes guys just shifting people around and the run fits do not change. Okay. So if say if we're looking at this play here and that defensive left tackle, the guy over the right, the left tackle, defensive left tackle, that's an offensive tackle. Yeah, that guy right there. All right. If his run fit is in that A gap between the center and the right guard, no matter what you do with him, that's going to be his run fit. That's going to be his responsibility. So if you shifted him now to the right, if you shift this line to the right, you're going to pull him. You're going to pull him further and further away from his run fit. And if the guy runs right in that gap right there, there's a really good chance that the play is going to be successful. Yeah. So it does help to look at the run fits a little bit better, just to make sure you don't do that, and then adjust accordingly to see, to stop whatever it is you're trying to stop.
When you guys are shifting your defensive line, are you also shifting to the slant for the right stick? Are you using that as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Always, or just sometimes?
Yeah, all the time.
Always.
Almost always. Yeah.
So you're always slanting your defensive line where you think they're going, and you're also slanting your point of attack where you think they're going.
Well, yes. I'm looking at this defense. If this was my defense, coming out of it, I would say is the high probability if he runs, he's running right. And my first thing would be to press. My second thing would be if it's man, I'd shade over the top. Right. My third thing to do would be I'd move my defensive line to the right. And my fourth thing to do I would depending on how it goes, I would do my point of attack slant inside or slant right to go with the run that he's probably going to go.
Okay, so you'd do your line to the left.
Well, to this visual.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay.
This visual's right.
Right.
Yeah.
If the halfback is on the left side, in this version, there's a little bit more where the counters actually do work, but majority of the runs out of shotgun like this are going to go right.
Right.
Because the halfback's on the left. So he's going to go right. So that's what I would do. I'm not very successful at defense. I'm okay at defense, but that's what I would do.
Okay.
All right, the next
one last thing, Lemon.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll go back.
Move on.
Yep.
Now, getting back to that run fits real quick. Mm-hmm. If people will go into practice mode, you can actually pull up all the different defenses that you might want to use, and you can then hit those run flips, hit the B and the X buttons, like I was telling everybody, off the play art. And you'll find that some of these defenses will actually have 9 defenders defending the run, okay, that all have run fits. And in some defenses, you might only have, like, say, 7.
Yeah, or less.
Or less.
What formation have you found, you guys, or style have you found to be good at covering, stopping the run? Cover 1, is that a pretty good defense?
No.
Okay. What do you find?
No, cover 1 is man-to-man with deep safety, which is basically worthless.
Right.
Okay. He doesn't do anything.
What do you find to be the best defense to cover the run?
I do the cover 4, cover 3, but I'm not great at it. That's what I do. Or you want to do a little run blitzing if you really like somebody's exposing it, overusing it, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what I do.
Jeff? Which one's your one of your favorites?
Tell me what it is. I'm usually pretty good against the run. I'm using mostly right now. I'm going. No, a lot has to do with my personnel, but I am using a lot more the nickel BG defense. Mm-hmm. And then
Why is that?
It gives me more flexibility to what I want to be able to do. It has more guys in the run fit than the
Gotcha.
nickel. Okay, because you know the
You
nickel
also
2-4.
got a double safety in it.
So-
Yeah,
helps.
you can. Yeah, and yet the nickel 2-4 as opposed to the nickel BG. If you look at it, you'll see that the nickel BG has more guys in the run fits than the nickel 2-4 does.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
helps.
Which is not the case in Madden 22.
Right, not the case in Madden 22.
So here we got
Nickel
shifting
BG was garbage.
shifting linebackers and linebacker assignments. Let's talk about that. Jeff, go first on this.
Well, this kind of goes back to where Mike was talking about. I mean, you can, if you really like here, if you're looking at this thing here, you got, this is it can run either way, right? It's in a balanced position. I would probably on this one here, I would probably pinch my linebackers if I'm going to do anything, because I'm not too worried about them getting to the outside here. If I leave my defensive line or if I sort of slant the defensive line to the outside to prevent the outside run, but so I would probably pinch the linebackers here. If you spread them. Again, depending on the defense, what could happen is those outside linebackers can get really wide.
Yep.
And again, we're getting back to the run fit. Sometimes they can't get back into the gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here on the right side, on the right stick, you can see here that you can separately blitz your linebackers, left outside linebacker or right outside linebacker. You can set them all to go into a zone coverage.
Right.
Or you can
They'll all go into. Yeah, go ahead. No, never mind. Go ahead.
And you can blitz them all, which is probably not. I mean, you can sack people a lot, but using these heavy blitzes in the game until you go up against a good opponent, and they're gonna tear you up with it then.
Well, the thing I will. I mean, Mike's seen me do this. So I don't do it all the time, but I have had some success. Again, just trying to help people out here. If I'm down at like say the 2 or 3 yard line, I might blitz all my linebackers and just go cover 4. So that'll put the 4 defensive backs in the zone, about 5 yards deep in the end zone, and then I'll blitz the linebackers. And if you do that, you end up sometimes getting to the quarterback, but a lot of times just stuffing the run and sometimes having just enough pass defense to knock down a pass.
Do you ever do that the other way around? Let's say that they're at the 5 yard line going into the end zone. Do you ever bring those blitz all those linebackers at that point and cover 4 or cover 3 with the rest of them?
5 yard
inside my 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm defensively inside my 5, and I think they're running. I'm guessing run.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I don't care about it. One way or the other, they're going to score. So it's a numbers game.
Yeah, that guessing thing, pass and run, it's good if you're right and terribly wrong if you're wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
especially with the pass.
Right.
That's where you really get burned with it. Okay, this is the A button when you're on defense, and this will bring up the Playzone assignments, Playzone and assignments over here. Let's talk about that. Mike, you start with this one.
Oh, this is where you're individually covering each guy. So what you do here is all right, for instance, looking at this play, you got the deep safety over the middle. This is probably a cover 3 looking at it quickly. But if this was man-to-man, which it isn't, I would take that deep safety that's just doing a cover 1 zone over the middle, and I would either blitz him, curl flat him, or something to that effect, because he's not doing anything. It might stop a play here or there if they did a post or something like that. But truthfully, he's too far out to stop the run, and he's too far out, and he's not the coverage isn't worth anything in a cover 1. Right. But realistically, so what you do is you pick the player that you want to change, and then it will come up with these options, and you can do vert. It obviously depends upon the player that you're trying to change, because if a linebacker will have certain types of zones he can play and certain coverages he can do, versus a defensive tackle or a defensive end, they can have different things. Linebackers can have different things. So this is more of a trial and error, and this is, to me, you start simple. My logic is you take like a 3-4 odd cover 3, and in the 3-4 odd, one of the linebackers is always blitzing, and you take that blitzer because he has a point, but I like to put a little bit more coverage and get a coverage sack. So I would change his route and only his assignment. And a lot of guys used to do, you cover the halfback out of the backfield because zones don't do that very well. and so they'll take their linebacker that's blitzing and cover the halfback. They'll go man. You see on the right stick, you'll do man coverage. Then it's gonna pop up. Who do you want to cover? And you just pick the halfback option,
Right.
and he'll follow him around if he's generally a good player.
Okay.
You know.
Anything
Now,
that?
Yeah, I do. If you, this is a zone, but if you were playing man to man, you see the bunch formation on the left.
Yep.
Okay, the up guy. Right, what ends up happening when you go man to man, the up guy in the slot there, number 1 maybe, I can't remember making it. Whatever his number is, the single digit guy in the middle. What ends up happening is the guy that covers him ends up being almost right over him, just like the guy that's there right now, the linebacker there, but it would be in man to man. And that can really cause a lot of problems, because when people do like switch plays and stuff out of this, that up guy can get beat a lot, depending on the defense you've called. So in man-to-man coverage, I like to go individual coverage with that guy and then move him back.
Yeah.
And drop him off. So that way he doesn't get beat over the top or get hurt on the switch plays.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So
Okay.
that helps me a little bit.
Yep, this is a good screen to know. I mean, once you get good and fast at everything, you can take advantage of that. This we don't have to deal with here because this is for joystick jockeys.
Yep.
Next screen, shift defense, guess play. We were just talking about the guess pass, guess run up the middle, guess run right. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, well, you can pay for it. Shift defense. Let's talk about this one here before we move on to the next screen. This left side, the left stick.
It would be like having pressing. If you did say shift right, it'll move your defensive line to the right. It'll move your linebackers to the right. It's just like a super button, to do both moves at once if you want to save time.
Right.
That's the type of thing.
Right.
Okay, that's good to know. I don't use that too much, but okay. Push down right toggle. These are your defensive adjustments that you can make as coaching. What do y'all want to talk about here? Because what do you like to set yours at here? I mean, I know Jeff changes his so often, but what do you typically start out with there?
I leave it on auto flip and baseline on the top two.
Yeah.
And then it does it, and the zone coverage on the bottom, I'm going to put that to match. And then I don't mess with the zone drops all that much, except for certain defensive situations that I will go in there and change that. So you're right. But basically, as beginning of the game, I'm going to leave it on auto flip because I want my safety on the strong side. And then the auto alignment, I'm going to go baseline. And then I said if I need to get out of that baseline, I can then hit the baseline button again, like we said earlier, to get the matchup. So I don't want the guy to be able to read my defense. Mike's really good at it. Like Mike saw it right away on that screen you just had. There's an obvious cover 3.
Right.
Then he's going to call a cover 3 beater, and you're dead.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys go baseline, but there is some problems with the baseline because you can get guys on the wrong side of the field. And then I always go match on the zone coverage on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, me, I don't have auto flip on. I like to control where my
Guys go.
my blitzers are, so I don't have to guess flipping. When the play starts.
Right.
My auto alignment, I used to use baseline. I kind of bounce back and forth as to what type of play I'm having success with, because if you have baseline and you run man to man, you're going to have a lot of times where your coverage guy is on the left side of the field and the guy he's covering is on the right side of the field.
One play touchdown.
And one play touchdowns. If a guy's running a lot of quarterback options or where the quarterback is running, I'll mess with the option defense.
Right.
So I will cover the quarterback and let the running back go because, there's certain explosive, like Lamar Jackson,
Right.
They can take off and cause a lot of havoc. I don't mess with strip ball or tackling. Supposedly they'll give you more fumbles and the tackling will break up more plays, and you might cause more fumbles. The zone drops, the only one that I ever touch is curl flats when somebody's consistently running crosser routes that are dropping off in the 15 to 20 yard range. I'll set it there, and I don't really mess with the zone coverage to match. I leave it at default.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else to add, what we will do is stop this side of the broadcast and go to the offensive side. Anyone want to add something real quick here?
No, that's all I got.
I got one last thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of guys. Mike is probably one of them, but there's a lot of guys who like to flip their offenses, or they start motioning a tight end from one side to the other. They do a lot of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what can happen is if you don't practice it, you can because if, a lot of times the defense does not then flip with that.
Right.
Yep.
And so then, even though you might have it on baseline, whatever the case would be, or have it on auto flip, you might have to go in quickly and sort of manually flip the defense so you get the matchups again. Otherwise, you got mismatches.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that's it. If you've not watched the offensive side of this yet, get on over there and do it. I'm going to put a link up to the offense and the defense as separate broadcasts so that you can spend a little bit of time on one and then go to the other. Okay.